Welcome to Gaining Insights, hosted by Akin Mental Health, where we talk to individuals, families, and professionals about their journeys navigating mental illness and the insights that they've gained along the way. Today, I'm really excited to be talking to Lauren, or also known as Lo Cornell. She is an artist, entrepreneur, and mental health advocate, and she's the founder of the brand Think Unique, which has been providing handmade, artisanal jewelry, lifestyle goods, and healing support to our global community since 2015. She uses her business and platform to raise awareness, spark conversations, and raise funds for mental health warriors and organizations. And so I'm really excited to talk with you today and spark a conversation here. Let's just get started, and you can tell me a little bit more about your background and your story navigating bipolar disorder.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. My journey has been an interesting one. The culmination of my mental health diagnosis and studying jewelry in college is how my business was born. And honestly, I don't even know where I would be without it. It's been such a healing journey for me. Getting my bipolar, as well as some other mental health diagnoses, such as ADHD and CPTSD, really gave me the freedom and the control to understand my life and my path, and sharing that knowledge and sharing that experience and really opening the door to conversation through my business has been such a gift for me, as well as all the people that I get to interact with. So it's been a fun, challenging, and very rewarding journey.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And it is such an interesting mix of kind of the creative side and then mental health advocacy. One of the things that you shared about in the previous interview was about how some of your understandings of relationship changed and some of those family dynamics. Can you talk a little bit about those early years, trying to understand like what this diagnosis was, what was going on, how that was for you, and also a little bit on how it was for your family?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll do my best to speak on their behalf, but it was very challenging. It started out when I was very young. I was about 11 or 12, about that puberty kind of age for women. When I started experiencing all of these different things, I had huge mood swings. I was getting very depressed. I was having suicidal ideation and things that were very foreign to me. My school found out I had cut myself, and I was sent to the school. I think it was like a social worker technically. And that was the first introduction for my parents to what was going on. So I can only imagine, and from what I've heard from them, it was incredibly challenging. I think anytime you see someone you love experiencing that kind of pain and hurt, it's very difficult. But as I've gotten better diagnosis, as I've been in therapy, I've done my own research as an adult. Now that I'm not a 12-year-old, I'm doing the appropriate level of research. It's been very rewarding. And I think my family has really seen a change. I know they've seen a change because they tell me all the time, but my relationships with them at the early stages were very challenging. We would argue a lot. They wouldn't understand my mood swings. They thought this is what teenagers do, but this doesn't really seem right, or this is much more intense than what I guess they would have expected as parents. So now that I've had the appropriate help, I've learned all of these self-soothing and self-regulatory techniques. My relationship with both my parents has been incredibly improved. They're both very supportive. They were both people that I think before all this started, they were not as familiar with mental health, or at least specific mental health diagnoses, since neither of them had been diagnosed with anything. So it's been a learning journey really for all of us. And I think coming together and having open conversations and open dialogue and just really accepting things for as they are has been such a blessing on our relationships. I'd say the same for my friendships as well. Some of my friends stuck with me through the really crazy hard times. And the fact that I have now 15 years of friendship with some of those gals is really incredible. And we're all just on the journey together.
Yeah, and that's an important reminder. And I think probably really helpful for people that might be younger or earlier in the journey to see where this can go in a positive way. Sometimes we get a lot of stories about negative journeys, but it's really been a growing journey, and everybody's on a growing journey in a variety of ways. You mentioned that things changed when you had a proper diagnosis, when you had the right kind of treatment support, and maybe other things in your life, maybe starting a business, things like that. What has getting help for mental health looked like for you? And what have you found to be personally most helpful? Maybe some things that were less helpful in terms of your treatment wellness journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the biggest player for me was going to therapy, really seeing a therapist in person, via Zoom, telemedicine, whatever it is, but connecting with someone that was outside of my space. They didn't know my relationships. They didn't know who I was as a child. They didn't know or have any biases. It was incredibly helpful to not only have that perspective, but also obviously a professional that understands the nuances of what I was going through. So I would say therapy was my absolute and still is my absolute number one thing that helps me. But in addition to that, a lot of the self regulating techniques that I talk about through my business or just with others, such as breath work, meditation, yoga, any sort of gentle physical activity, as well as being spiritual. I think finding my own spirituality and find something that I can believe in outside of myself has been very helpful and has given me more of a purpose. I think for anyone that's on that same journey, I think believing that things can get better is so important. And whether you do that through your own self ability to believe in yourself, if you need an outside party, a lot of people I think find spirituality or religion or exercise or whatever it is for you. As long as you have something that you can hold on to and believe in that things will get better, I think that's an incredible anchor to have after receiving a mental health diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really important. And to mental illness can really take away your ability to see that future. But if you have something to come back to, just something to keep kind of keep some perspective and some forward motion, I think that's really powerful as well. Was it easy for you to decide to go to therapy? What was that process like? And was it easy to find someone that you connected with? Or a lot of people are still reluctant or find that it hasn't been helpful. What was that like just in those very early days?
It was definitely hard. I would say finding a therapist is not just so you call someone up, it's a perfect fit, it works for both of you. It's definitely just as any relationship is, you have to make sure it's the right fit and get to know each other and practice vulnerability and honest communication. And for me, I had started going to therapy around that time when I was younger. Didn't have a really great fit with my therapist. I went for maybe a few sessions and I was young too. So it was really hard to really understand the longevity, the long term purpose. But when I was in college, I knew that was around the time I started getting diagnoses and I knew something was off. And I took a bunch of psychology courses and I had learned about the benefits of seeing a therapist and seeing a professional. And I tried quite a few different therapists when I was in college. Nobody was really the right fit, but I was very blessed to connect with my therapist in Chicago when I lived there at the time. Her name is Linda. She's incredible. I love her. She was the one that really helped me transform my journey, really helped me understand, okay, you were misdiagnosed, which happens all the time. And I think that's something that people need to understand is that it is a journey. Everyone's brain is unique just as they are as a person. And it takes time to find the right therapist to really understand the right diagnosis. And once you do, it is such a freeing and liberating and healing process to know, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. This person is on my side. They have my back. They understand what I'm going through. Like that moment of clarity was huge for me. And I imagine for anyone else that's in therapy or receives a diagnosis like that, just that clarity.
And can you share what those diagnoses were and what was the misdiagnosis and then the updated one and maybe a little bit about what those experiences were that helped clarify that diagnosis for you?
Yeah. So I was initially diagnosed with depression and severe anxiety, which I definitely felt the symptoms of. But what I didn't really feel was right was there was some other factor at play that was really pulling me in these different directions and really switching my personality at the drop of a hat. And that's when I was diagnosed with bipolar 2, which explained these shifts, not being able to get out of bed for days or weeks at a time, then having manic energy and being productive as if I had just done a month's worth of work in 2 days. And it was very crazy to me. And I shouldn't use the word crazy. I don't like to use that word, but it was very challenging to understand. But once I understood that it was bipolar, everything made a little bit more sense. And additionally, I was also diagnosed with ADHD at that time, which helped. It just rounded out my understanding of everything because in addition to the bipolar 2, there were other habits and the way that my space ended up being like according to my living style, things just didn't really check out. So having that ADHD diagnosis combined with a bipolar 2 diagnosis really gave me a full understanding of, hey, maybe this is why you're acting this way, or maybe this is why you're having a hard time getting through such and such tasks. So I think the initial diagnosis got my toe in the water and I was like, okay, something's wrong. I need to dig in deeper. But having the proper diagnosis led to appropriate medication, appropriate therapy. It just really helped everything actually find resolution.
And you felt like the pieces fit together. The therapist understood what you were talking about better. The recommendations maybe were better, and you were able to understand yourself better. I think that's part of the mental health journey for everyone, too, is like developing that internal insight and self awareness. That's a big part of it. I'd love to hear more about your business, about Think Unique. Tell us about that business and what really sparked you to create this and to join these interests in jewelry, creativity, and mental health advocacy.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to talk about. As I said, when I was in college, I was learning about my mental health diagnoses and starting to find some answers. There was also the time when I changed my major from photography to metalsmithing. So as I was learning metalsmithing, I was also learning about breath work and therapy and spirituality and healing gemstones and all these other things that I understand some people do not believe in it, to each their own. But for me, it was really like a guiding light and it really helped me to manifest things that I wanted in my life. So this combination of learning metalsmithing, learning about gemstones, learning about all these different exercises, aromatherapy, it really just blossomed. I like to say that my business just happened by accident. Everything just fell into place at the right time. And by making these products, making aromatherapy tools like my smudge bundles or my essential oil blends, these were things that I had been using for myself and really finding benefit from. And it started to trickle. My friends would say, hey, I'm really stressed out. I know that you're working on stress management. Do you have anything? And I'd say, oh, yeah, I just made this aromatherapy blend. If you want to try it, give it a try. Or I just made this bundle and it's become a very grounding practice for me. Or I wear this in college. I always wore a citrine crystal every day that I had made a necklace out of. And I called it my power stone because I learned that it was a stone that represented confidence, creativity, and entrepreneurship, all of which were things that I was working towards. And my friends saw me bring this business to fruition while I'm wearing this gemstone and making all these products. And they started to be like, wait, I want to manifest this for my life. And I want this in my life. What do you have for this? And it just grew. So I feel very blessed that people were as interested as I was in what I was doing. And now, years later, I have reached so many different people and had so many beautiful connections. And the stories that people tell me about is like making me emotional. The stories people tell me about, I can't even like this one woman in particular, she had recently lost her son, which
Yeah,
is one of the most heartbreaking things you could imagine. And
absolutely.
he had purchased some of my products and I was like, I'm not a grief counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm telling you what I believe in, and I'm telling you what you can believe in as well. But this is by no means a diagnosis or guaranteed to help you. And she came back to another show and she said she's been using my blends every single day to help her get some rest at night because I use lavender and other sleep positive aromatherapy blends. And she wore a crystal that was representative of her son's birth month And having that with her was like, she told me it was like having a piece of him with her all the time. And it makes me, my mom says verklempt. It makes me verklempt.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah. And just those kinds of moments are what really keep pushing me to grow more, develop more, make more products, reach more people, share my story more. People always ask me, why are you so comfortable talking about your mental health? Like, why don't you keep that private? And for me, if I can help anyone in any way realize that things are going to be okay and that they can find a positive solution, they can get better, they can get through it, I have served my purpose. So if it means talking about bipolar or talking about crystals or whatever it is, I believe that is my mission and my journey, and I am here for it.
And it's really powerful. And I think that you're using these aromatherapies, these crystals, the types of tools that people have used for centuries, but that are wellness and have a spiritual element. They're not, as you were saying, going to resonate with every person. But you're also saying, look, my journey includes these crystals, this way of approach, but it also includes regular therapy, taking care of that in a professional setting, openness to medication. Sounds like there were times that you used medication or so it's not an either or. I feel like this discussion can get so bifurcated. Like we're going to heal the world with crystals or we're going to heal the world with medication, but it's actually, a combining into a whole person and a whole purpose. And when you're sharing that story about the woman and how it makes her feel close to her son, of course, that's going to dramatically improve her mental health, her ability to move forward. And I think it's wonderful that you are bringing that forward and giving that gift to people. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Holistic approach is what I tell everybody. You have to do a little bit of everything. You can't just do one thing and expect a solution.
Yeah, yeah. And these are complex challenges and lifelong in whatever form that they keep going. So that's an important part of it too. Yeah, I love this wisdom that you're sharing, learning about your business. I'd just love to hear some other just insights or inspiration, advice for others that you have to wrap up the chat today.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, like we were just saying, a holistic approach is key. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as people say. Try going to therapy, try doing breath work, try adding in exercise or nutrition, try finding a spiritual path if that's your calling. Whatever it is, I think we as individuals are incredibly complex and we like to think that solutions are not complex. And I think by understanding a solution or a journey to our problem is just as complex as we are is very important and something to keep close to your heart. I would say try as many things as you can, see what sticks, keep as many things that work for you. And also, if anyone, of course, is interested, feel free to reach out to me. I love chatting with people about their journey. Happy to consult on the spiritual crystal side. I will leave it to the professionals on the medical therapy side. But yeah, I just follow your path, stay positive, and believe that what you want in your heart can actually happen is my message I'll leave everybody with.
I love that. That's a beautiful message. So thank you so much, Love, for talking with us and sharing your journey with bipolar disorder and sharing about Think Unique. It's just been wonderful to learn from you.
It's been wonderful chatting with you, and thank you for the opportunity.